We worked our entire lives for those 4 minutes on the ice, and so quickly that moment was just over.
We are incredibly honored to be joined by Tessa, the most decorated figure skater in Olympic history. You'll remember her and Scott, the youngest team to debut in the Olympics and to win gold. So Tessa, thank you so much for joining us. This is pretty cool for all of us here right across Ontario, for the 2 million young people tuning in.
I'm honored, and it's great to connect.
We want to explore how you got here. What an amazing story, starting in London, Ontario. So tell us a bit about your journey, how you were able to persevere and overcome incredible challenges along the way, but succeed.
Well, Scott and I were paired up when I was just 7 years old and he was 9. So it was a long time coming. I think people see these podiums and the competitions, the results, and forget that it took 2 decades to really get there. But we had a shared vision, a common goal. We created action plans to accomplish those and to pursue these really big dreams. We surrounded ourselves with a team that facilitated and supported the pursuit of those goals for us, and we chased a passion. I mean, crazily, through those ups and downs, as you mentioned, but we really came together and chased something that we felt was meaningful.
I feel like you demonstrated to Canada what teamwork looks like, and with such an elegance and grace, and pretty cool to see you two, just that complementary energy. It was honestly, I'll never forget watching. But tell me, talking about watching, hundreds of millions of eyeballs were on you in some of these defining moments in your career. How did you manage that? I mean, for so many young people that feel the pressure of the world on their shoulders, how did you deal with that? You were especially young. It just seems like a crazy challenge to overcome, and yet you did it, and you did it so well.
Thank you. A lot of that comes down to preparation. So knowing that as we took the ice on the world's biggest stage, that we had put in the work. I mean, there's no better feeling. And I mean, the students watching know that when you sit down to do an exam, when you look at the teacher and say, bring it on, you're in a good place. So you might be nervous, but you know that you've equipped yourself with the tools and the skills to handle those nerves. We did a lot of visualization, a lot of backward imaging. So trying to picture, okay, what does that moment feel like and how do we work to get there? A lot of communicating, just sharing our vulnerabilities and our thoughts, that honest and open dialogue, not just with one another, but with our greater team around us. And some breath work was important too in those final moments before taking the ice, just trying to calm our nervous systems down. But ultimately, we put ourselves in a position to actually want that pressure, to want the stress. We had worked for that storyline and we simulated that almost every day, or as much as we could, leading into the Olympic Games. So it was up to us to actually embrace that, reframe it as a positive and as an opportunity, and think, wow, how lucky are we that we get to do this?
So you are a student today, a lifelong learner, and I feel that experience myself. So tell us about how you manage competing priorities, how you're managing just the stresses that are natural as young people, as human beings. We all feel pain and happiness, and we go through the up and downs. And with the pandemic, I feel like it's especially difficult on all of us and our young people. So how do you manage that? How do you find that inner strength to keep going and stay really focused on your goals, which so obviously are defining you?
It is challenging to stay focused, and sometimes I have to remember that when you veer off course, it's really just simply a reminder to get back into the rhythm that you set out for yourself. And you mentioned the highs and lows, and I'm so conscious that those highs are so much better once you've experienced the lows. So when you're in it, when you're in the depths of that hardship and adversity, if there's a way you can be self-aware enough to sort of step back and realize, okay, this is the time for growth. This is where I have to grind it out, knowing that what happens after this? Oh, I'm on an upswing and I'm back, I go up, to experience another elation or a joyous experience. I think, you mentioned school, and what strikes me right now, it's hard to create structure in a day, especially working from home. It's hard to find a rhythm and a routine that is inspiring or invigorating in any way. And what I found to be really helpful is relying on my classmates. We have to be accountable to one another. And if I were just operating in my own individual little silo, it would be so much harder. But I'm more accountable when I can touch base with my teammates, when I can say, hey, are you feeling this too? And, we can support each other. And I found that network of support to be really, really healthy.
And virtually, like you've been doing that seamlessly. Like, tell me a bit about that because it's a bit different, to be honest. I mean, we may be young, but I still think, I'm old fashioned. I come from an Italian family. Like, I want to hug my grandma. Like there's so many things like that we look forward to, and I know that there is light at the end of this darkness. But how have you been able to embrace sort of that virtual world and staying connected with the people that you care about and you love?
I'm with you. I mean, I think we're all longing for that human connection again. But one thing I do know is that we'll never take it for granted again, will we? I mean, I think this has been an interesting opportunity to just reflect and realize where our priorities should land and what is truly important. And, you mentioned doing nice things for your grandma. It's those acts of kindness and generosity right now that can truly make a difference in someone's day or life. And I think that's really humbling. It's nice to get back in touch with that, maybe that we had lost sight of a little bit.
Absolutely. So, mental health is such an important element of what we're trying to do in our schools, in our communities, in this country, really trying to set an example that it's okay to feel not okay. And it's okay to turn to people, to friends, to family, to teachers, to Kids Health Phone, to so many groups that are there 24/7. So I'd love to just to get perspective from you because positive mental health is critical. You've spoken about this, you've championed this. I know you care about it. So tell us a bit about how that intersects with how young people can live their lives daily and really just be positive mental health leaders themselves in their communities.
I think a big part of that just stems from this self-awareness and understanding, like, how can we look internally to recognize these thoughts and feelings, accept them, and know that they are normal. I mean, it's normal to be down and out. And I think, it was great you referenced Kids Help Phone, for example, because, we're reluctant to reach out sometimes. And I don't know about you, but when I'm going through something, I need to hear myself talk. I need to hear myself speak my feelings into existence so that I can recognize a pattern. I can, I need a sounding board so that I can realize, okay, what's the course of action here? Or maybe even just feel better simply saying it out loud. So whether that's a friend, a teammate, a coach, a teacher, someone on the other end of the Kids Help Phone, I just think it's really important to reach out and know that that's healthy. That's self-care, but that's also just being your best self. And we all need help along the way. And something that's important to remember is that the people on the other side of that really want to help. They care. And, if we can come together in that sense, then there's no stopping us.
Agreed. And so, when we talk about, this day, we talk about positive mental health, it's really about trying to encourage people, inspire young people to have courage in their hearts. And I'm always curious, bit of a spontaneous question, but how do you define courage?
I think courage is about putting yourself out there. And courage is standing in the light when it's might be really scary. And I love that you define that courage of your heart in association with this Bell Let's Talk Day or mental health, because it is important to sort of step outside of ourselves and be brave, be bold in order to move forward, evolve, and grow. And I think courage is doing something that is scary. And, so often those are the things that end up being really worthwhile.
For sure. Tessa, you are honestly so inspiring. Like, just to be able to hear you and your humility and your energy and your positivity, it is very infectious and I love it. And I know every Canadian is so, so very proud. And I say this just with a great deal of humility myself, just being able to speak with you. And the example you've set for young people in Canada is amazing. And I really, really want to thank you on behalf of the 2 million young people within our schools and every Ontarian, every Canadian to say, stay well, stay home, stay safe. And thank you for inspiring a nation.
Thank you. What a privilege. I really, really appreciate it.